My girlfriend came out as lesbian right before our wedding and then told everyone I was abusive. She screamed, "You are abusive and I am terrified of you," while I stayed silent. I don't even know where to start with this mess. My brain is still trying to process what happened, and I guess I need to get this out somewhere because literally no one in my life is talking to me right now. I am 29, work in it for a mid-size company here in Denver. My fiancée Sarah is 27, works as a graphic designer. We have been together for 6 years total, engaged for 8 months. I knew from early on that she was bisexual and it never bothered me at all. She had had relationships with women before we met and was always open about her past. I actually respected how honest she was about her identity. We had what I thought was a really solid relationship. Sure, we had disagreements like any couple, but we always talked things through. We were living together for 3 years. Financially stable, both had good jobs. Last year around Christmas, I felt like it was time to propose. I planned this whole thing at the Botanical Gardens where we had our first official date. Got down on one knee with her favorite flowers everywhere. The works. When I asked her to marry me, she hesitated for maybe 10 seconds before saying yes. Those 10 seconds felt like an hour, but I figured she was just surprised or overwhelmed. When I asked about the pause later, she said she was just taking it all in and wanted to remember every detail. We told our families and friends and started planning. My parents were thrilled. Her parents seemed happy, but looking back now, there was something off about their reaction. They seemed more relieved than excited, if that makes sense. Our friend group was super supportive and immediately started talking about bachelor parties and wedding planning. Everything seemed normal for months. We booked a venue, sent save the dates. I ordered my tux. Sarah seemed engaged in the planning process, though. Sometimes I caught her looking distant when we talked about the future. When I would ask if everything was okay, she'd just say wedding planning was stressful. 3 weeks ago, everything changed. I came home from work on a Thursday, and Sarah was sitting at our kitchen table with 2 suitcases packed. My first thought was that someone in her family had an emergency. She looked at me and said, "I need to tell you something, and I need you to let me finish before you say anything." Her voice was completely flat, like she was reading from a script. "I have been lying to you and to myself for a long time. I am not bisexual. I am a lesbian. I tried to make this work because I care about you, but I cannot marry you. I cannot keep pretending to be someone I am not." I just stood there staring at her. I think I asked if we could talk about it or work through it somehow, but she shook her head. "There is nothing to work through. This isn't about you doing anything wrong. I just know who I am now, and I cannot keep living a lie. I am staying with my friend Lisa until I can find my own place." Then she picked up her bags and left. Just like that. 6 years together and she was gone in under 10 minutes. I spent the weekend in complete shock. I kept expecting her to call or text or come back to talk more. On Monday, I started making calls to cancel wedding vendors. Most were understanding, but we lost some deposits. I had to call my family, her family, our friends to let them know the wedding was off. Here is where it gets really messed up. After I made those calls, people started acting weird. Some friends stopped responding to my texts. Others gave me these really short responses. My best friend Mike, who was supposed to be my best man, seemed uncomfortable when I called him. Finally, after a week of this weirdness, I confronted Mike directly. I asked him what was going on and why everyone was being so cold to me. That is when he told me what Sarah had been saying. According to Mike, Sarah had been telling people that she broke up with me because I became controlling and verbally abusive when she started questioning her sexuality. She claimed I threatened her when she tried to end things and that she was afraid of me. I literally felt sick when he told me this. I asked Mike if he actually believed I would do something like that, and he said he didn't know what to think. He said Sarah seemed really scared when she talked to him and that maybe there were sides to me he didn't know about. I tried explaining what actually happened, but I could tell he didn't fully believe me. Over the next few days, I reached out to other friends and got similar responses. Some flat out told me they couldn't associate with someone who would threaten a woman. Others just stopped responding entirely. Sarah's family blocked me on everything. My own family believes me, but they are the only ones. I went from having a solid friend group and social circle to being completely isolated in the span of 2 weeks. The worst part is I understand why people believed her. If someone you trust tells you their ex was abusive, Your instinct is to support them, but it is devastating to realize that 6 years of people knowing me apparently meant nothing when weighed against her accusations. I have been going to work and coming home to an empty apartment that still has her things in it. I keep thinking about calling her to ask why she felt the need to destroy my reputation on top of ending our relationship. But I know it would just make things worse and probably reinforce whatever narrative she has created about me being unstable. I canceled our lease, and I am moving back in with my parents next month. At 29 years old, I am starting over completely. No fiancé, no wedding, no friend group, no social life. Just trying to figure out how to rebuild when everyone thinks you are someone you are not. I don't even know what I am asking for here. I guess I just needed to tell someone what actually happened. Maybe I am naive, but I thought 6 years of being a decent partner would count for something. Edit. Thanks to everyone commenting. Reading responses from people who don't know either of us personally is honestly a relief. Some of you are asking why I haven't tried harder to defend myself. The truth is, when someone accuses you of abuse, defending yourself too aggressively just makes you look more guilty. It is an impossible situation. Edit 2. A few people are suggesting I should expose what really happened. I have thought about it, but I don't want to hurt Sarah even though she hurt me. I just want people to know I am not who she says I am. Edit 3. Someone asked about our relationship dynamic. Sarah was always independent, and I encouraged that. I never tried to control her friendships, career choices, or anything else. If anything, I probably gave her too much space sometimes. Update 1. It has been about 3 weeks since my original post, and I honestly didn't expect to update this soon. A lot has happened, and I am still processing it all. Last Friday, I got a call from my former friend group member Jessica. She sounded really upset and asked if we could meet for coffee. I was suspicious because she had been one of the people who completely cut contact with me, but curiosity won out. When we met, she immediately started crying and apologizing. Apparently, Sarah had gotten drunk at a party last weekend, and the truth came out. According to Jessica, Sarah was at this party with her new girlfriend Emma, who she has apparently been seeing for 2 months already. Someone brought up my name in conversation about relationships, and Sarah started getting defensive. The more she drank, the more the story changed. First, she said I was controlling. Then, when someone asked for specifics, she couldn't give any real examples. Then she said I was emotionally manipulative, but again couldn't explain how. Finally, when her new girlfriend asked directly what I had done that was so terrible, Sarah broke down crying and admitted she made it all up. She told the whole party that she panicked after our breakup because she was ashamed about leading me on for so long. She said she knew people would ask questions about why she ended such a long relationship so suddenly, and she thought claiming abuse would make people stop asking and just support her automatically. The worst part is, she admitted she knew it would destroy my reputation, but she was more worried about protecting herself than what happened to me. Jessica said. The entire party went silent. Most of the people there were from our friend group, and they realized they would completely abandon someone innocent based on lies. Since then, I have gotten calls and texts from basically everyone apologizing and asking to meet up. Mike called me crying, asking for forgiveness. Even some people who weren't super close to me reached out saying they felt terrible for believing rumors without giving me a chance to defend myself. I appreciate the apologies, but I am honestly not sure how to feel about all this. These people knew me for years and were willing to believe I was abusive based solely on one person's word. They didn't ask questions, didn't give me benefit of doubt, didn't even seem conflicted about cutting me out of their lives. Sarah sent me a long text apologizing and begging me not to ruin her life by telling people what she did. She said she knows she messed up, but she is finally happy and in a healthy relationship. The irony of someone who falsely accused me of abuse asking me not to abuse my power over her situation isn't lost on me. I haven't responded to her text, and I don't plan to. I am not going to go around telling people what she did because I am not vindictive. But I am also not going to protect her from the consequences of her own actions anymore. As for my friends, I am taking things slow. I understand why they believed her initially, but the fact that not one person reached out to hear my side still stings. Trust isn't something you can just rebuild overnight. I am keeping the appointment with the therapist I scheduled after my original post. Even though the truth is out now, going through this experience taught me some things about myself and my relationships that I want to work through. I am also still moving out of our old apartment. Too many memories there. And I need a fresh start regardless of what happens with my social circle. The strangest part is feeling vindicated but not relieved. I thought I would feel better once people knew the truth, but mostly I just feel tired. It is exhausting to have your entire life blown up by someone else's lies and then have to decide whether to rebuild with the same people who abandoned you. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I am going to forgive my friends. Honestly, I don't know yet. Some of them seem genuinely remorseful, and I understand their initial reaction. Others feel more like they are apologizing because they got caught believing lies rather than because they feel bad about abandoning me. Edit 2. To people saying I should expose Sarah publicly. I understand the impulse, but I am not going to destroy someone else's life, even if they tried to destroy mine. That is not who I am. Edit 3. Thank you to everyone sharing similar stories. It is sadly comforting to know this kind of thing happens to other people. The consensus seems to be that real friends would have at least asked for your side of the story. Update 2. It has been about 6 weeks since the truth came out, and I wanted to update because a lot of people were following this situation. I have had time to think about everything, and I have made some decisions about how to move forward. The biggest realization I have had is that this whole experience showed me who people really are when things get tough. I decided to rebuild relationships with some friends, but not all of them. The people who reached out immediately after learning the truth and seemed genuinely devastated by their mistake. I am giving them another chance. The ones who sent casual "sorry bro" texts or seemed more embarrassed about being wrong than sorry for hurting me. I am not interested in reconnecting. Mike falls into the first category. He came to my parents' house and sat in their driveway for 2 hours waiting for me to get home from work. When I walked up to the car, he was crying and said he knew nothing he could say would make up for abandoning me, but he wanted to try. We talked for 3 hours and he explained how Sarah had manipulated the story to make it sound credible. According to him, she didn't just say I was abusive. She created this whole narrative about how I gradually became controlling as the wedding got closer. She said I started monitoring her phone, getting jealous of her female friends, making comments about her sexuality. She even showed him screenshots of texts that I now realize must have been fake or taken completely out of context. The detail that convinced him was when she claimed I threw something at the wall during our last fight. We never had a last fight, and I have never thrown anything in anger in my life. But she described it so specifically that it sounded real. I am working things out with Mike slowly. Trust has to be rebuilt, but I can see he genuinely feels terrible. A few other friends who took similar approaches are getting second chances too. Jessica, who was the first to reach out, has been almost aggressive about trying to make amends. She keeps inviting me to things and buying me drinks and generally treating me like I am fragile. I had to tell her that the best way to make things normal is to just treat me normally, not like a victim who needs special handling. The friends I am not reconnecting with are the ones who seem more concerned about their own reputations than the damage they caused. One guy actually asked me not to tell people he believed the rumors because it might hurt his image. Another friend said I was being dramatic about the whole situation since it all worked out in the end. Those people are out of my life permanently. I have learned that crisis reveals character, and their characters failed the test. As for Sarah, she has left me alone since that first text. I heard through the grapevine that she and Emma broke up shortly after the party where truth came out. Apparently, Emma didn't take well to learning her new girlfriend was capable of destroying someone's life with lies. Sarah apparently tried to claim she only lied because she was traumatized by our breakup and didn't know how to handle people's questions. But Emma pointed out that trauma doesn't justify false abuse accusations, and that if Sarah could lie that easily about me, she could lie about anyone. I actually feel bad for Sarah in a weird way, not because I think she didn't deserve consequences, but because she destroyed something good in her life, our friendship at minimum, for no real reason. If she had just been honest about realizing she was gay, people would have been supportive. Instead, she chose to lie and ended up losing both her old life and her new one. I am doing better overall. The therapy has been helpful for working through trust issues and figuring out what I want in relationships going forward. My therapist pointed out that this experience, while painful, gave me valuable information about who deserves to be in my life. I moved into a new place last month, and I am really happy with it. Having my own space that doesn't have any history attached feels incredibly freeing. I have been focusing on work, picked up rock climbing as a hobby, and I am slowly building back my social life with people who have proven they deserve my trust. Dating is still off the table for now. I need to fully process this experience before I am ready to be vulnerable with someone new. But I am not bitter or closed off to the possibility. If anything, I have higher standards now for the kind of person I want to be with. The biggest lesson I have learned is that real friendship means giving someone the benefit of the doubt even when accusations are serious. None of my remaining friends needed to immediately take my side, but they should have at least asked me what happened before cutting me off completely. I also learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is protect your own peace. I could have spent months trying to prove my innocence, or convince everyone I was a good person. Instead, I focused on moving forward and let the truth come out naturally. That approach served me better than fighting ever could have. Edit: people are asking about legal action against Sarah. I consulted with a lawyer about defamation, but he said it would be expensive and hard to prove damages since most of the harm was to personal relationships rather than professional ones. Plus, now that the truth is out, pursuing it feels more vindictive than necessary. Edit 2. Thank you to everyone who shared similar experiences. It seems like false abuse accusations are unfortunately more common than I realized. The advice to focus on moving forward rather than seeking revenge seems to be universal among people who have been through this. Final update: it has been almost exactly a year since Sarah ended our engagement. And I wanted to give a final update since so many people followed this story and offered support. Life has settled into something I honestly like better than what I had before. That might sound weird given everything I went through, but this whole experience forced me to examine my relationships and my standards in ways I never had to before. My social circle is smaller now, but much stronger. The friends I chose to rebuild with have proven themselves over and over in the past year. Mike and I are closer than we ever were because we worked through something difficult together. When you survive a friendship almost ending and come out stronger, it creates a different kind of bond. I have also made new friends through rock climbing and through a hiking group I joined. These people know nothing about my drama and just know me as I am now. There is something refreshing about relationships that don't have any baggage attached. Work has been going really well. I got promoted 6 months ago to a senior developer role, partly because I was able to focus so much energy on my career during the period when my personal life was a mess. Sometimes, when one area of your life falls apart, it forces you to excel in other areas. I moved again, this time to a house instead of an apartment. Having my own space and a yard has been amazing. I adopted a dog, a rescue lab mix named Cooper, who has brought more joy into my daily life than I expected. Coming home to someone who is always happy to see you does wonders for your mental health. Dating-wise, I started seeing someone about 4 months ago. Her name is Rachel and she is a veterinarian I met through a mutual friend. I was upfront about my past situation early on because I figured if she was going to judge me for it, better to know sooner rather than later. Her response was perfect. She said false accusations are something she had encountered in her field with difficult pet owners, and that anyone who knew me for 5 minutes could tell I wasn't abusive. She was more angry on my behalf than concerned about dating me. We are taking things slow, but it feels healthy and honest in ways my relationship with Sarah never did. Rachel is direct about her feelings and needs, and there is no guessing or confusion about where we stand. After being with someone who is fundamentally dishonest about who she was, being with someone genuine feels incredible. As for Sarah, I know very little about her current situation, and I prefer it that way. I heard she moved to Portland about 8 months ago, presumably for a fresh start. I hope she has gotten the help she needs to figure out why she thought destroying someone else's life was acceptable behavior. I don't hate her anymore, which surprised me. I think she was a deeply confused person who made terrible choices when she panicked. That doesn't excuse what she did, but holding on to anger was only hurting me. The friends who showed their true colors during this situation have stayed out of my life, and I am grateful for that. Some people aren't meant to be in your inner circle, and crisis has a way of revealing who those people are. If I could go back and change what happened, I honestly don't know if I would. Yes, it was painful and unfair, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but it also cleared out relationships that weren't serving me, forced me to develop better boundaries, and led me to a life that feels more authentic than what I had before. The biggest thing I learned is that you cannot control what other people do or say about you, but you can control how you respond. I chose to focus on building something better, rather than tearing down the person who hurt me, and that choice made all the difference. I am closing this chapter of my life now. Thank you to everyone who offered support, shared similar stories, or just took the time to read about what I went through. This community helped me feel less alone during the worst period of my adult life. Life is good now. Sometimes you have to lose everything to realize what is actually worth keeping. Edit. This really is my final update. I am grateful for everyone who followed along and shared their own experiences. Time to focus on the future instead of the past.